CCP's #1 military order missing for 2 years, soldiers reportedly play cards and drink all day. Xi Jinping visited Sugarcane field reportedly set ablaze, authorities hasten to extinguish fire. Couples cornered by debt as CCP hikes Social Security, experts advise swift withdrawal. Xi cracks down on rivals in state-owned enterprises, analysis reveals stalemate.
It's all covered in today's China Truths.
CCP's #1 military order missing for 2 years, soldiers reportedly play cards and drink all day. As we've reported, the Chinese military is currently in a state of internal chaos, with a significant number of top-ranking officers either being detained or going missing. Meanwhile, there's been a noticeable absence of the Chinese Central Military Commission's #1 military order for 2 consecutive years, sparking widespread speculation. Since 2018, after the new year, CCP leader Xi Jinping has been issuing the #1 military order from the Central Military Commission. This order usually marks the start of the year's military training. It's also a method for the CCP's leadership to internally display their military power. However, in both 2023 and 2024, this #1 military order from the Central Military Commission was not released to the public. On December 28, 2023, Xi issued the Military Transportation and Delivery Regulations. On January 3, 2024, the Chinese military's website published an article titled Observations from the Front Lines of the New Year's Military Training, The Battlefield Roars, Training Spirits High. It emphasized the need for rigorous efforts to meet the centennial military building goal, setting high standards for all officers and soldiers. Xin Zhou, a political commentator, suggested that this article might partly reveal the content of the #1 military order. He mentioned that the military is going through a significant purge, impacting its operations and necessitating these arduous efforts. This purge has reportedly affected some high-ranking officers and officials in the military-industrial complex. Corruption cases have highlighted serious quality concerns in the missile development, production, and delivery processes of the rocket force. According to Xin Zhou, it reflects Xi's anxiety over instability in the military. Xi's trust in military officers at all levels has dramatically declined, leading him to rely more on political workers. This change has caused disillusionment and a loss of trust in the Military Commission's chairman. Xin Zhou noted that the methods for supervising officials are being applied to rank-and-file soldiers too, indicating extreme concern about potential mutinies. Although the #1 military order wasn't publicly released, its core content seems to have been leaked, and the military's recent maneuvers are quite telling. On January 10, Yao Qing, a former colonel staff officer in the Chinese Navy Command, posted an article on an overseas platform, revealing an unusual situation in the Chinese military. Yao Qing mentioned that Xi Jinping is overwhelmed, and leaders at all levels are no longer enforcing it. Offices are not organizing it, troops are disorganized, and soldiers have nothing to do but play cards and drink. A commenter named Napoli noted that the troops are preoccupied with studying Xi's thought, neglecting war research. Yao Qing replied that the military has essentially given up. Napoli also pointed out a prevailing attitude in the military: more work leads to more mistakes, less work to fewer mistakes, and no work to no mistakes at all. With anti-corruption as the daily focus, who would be motivated to work? There's a rumor that the military is overstaffed, with personnel more focused on making money than fighting. The only ones enthusiastic about military engagement are the naive patriots who are unaware that they wouldn't be the first ones sent into battle. As previously reported, numerous reports have emerged, exposing shocking corruption within the Chinese military. On January 7, Yao Qing revealed that over half of the non-commissioned officers in the rocket force have sought transfers, signaling a major decline in morale. Su Ziyun, director of the Strategic and Resources Institute at Taiwan's National Defense Security Research Institute, recently told the Epoch Times that corruption is ineradicable under a one-party dictatorship. Since Xi's rise to power, despite purging numerous officials, the corruption problem has only worsened, particularly in the military. The more aggressive the anti-corruption campaigns, the more the military resists Xi, as he fails to win hearts and fairly manage these affairs, essentially digging his own grave. Xi Jinping visited sugarcane field reportedly set ablaze, authorities hasten to extinguish fire. As previously reported, on December 14 last year, CCP leader Xi Jinping visited Beihai City in Guangxi for an official inspection and touched a sugarcane stalk during this visit. Unexpectedly, this sugarcane would later become a popular spot for taking selfies, with people paying $2.81 for a photo, further intensifying the cult of personality surrounding him within the CCP. Consequently, the sugarcane surface became smooth due to the extensive touching, and this incident turned into a subject of mockery after receiving media attention. However, shortly into the new year, news surfaced that discontented individuals had ignited the sugarcane fields. On January 10, 2024, a video surfaced on the X platform, reporting that the sugarcane fields touched by Xi Jinping in Guangxi were ablaze. In the video, fire trucks were seen at the scene spraying water. Spectators in the vicinity were laughing, making jokes, and even applauding the situation. According to online reports, some individuals, displeased with Xi Jinping's excessive personality cult, hurled several torches made of oily straw into the sugarcane field. After the sugarcane field caught fire, local authorities became highly concerned. They not only dispatched firefighting vehicles but also sent a significant number of police officers and security personnel to the scene. When the police observed many villagers applauding the fire in the sugarcane field, they immediately banned photography. Upon comparison, it was found that the scenes in the video closely matched the sugarcane plantation Xi Jinping had visited and posed with. Couples cornered by debt as CCP hikes Social Security, experts advise swift withdrawal. On January 9, a video on China's domestic social media platforms captured widespread attention. It depicted the deep despair and hopelessness of a couple, a sentiment that resonated with many. The video, posted on Douyin, features a man describing how 3 years of no business led to the shutdown of their entrepreneurial endeavors, resulting in massive debts and insolvency. They were constantly harassed by banks and online lenders for debt repayments, their creditworthiness completely eroded, and they saw no light at the end of the tunnel. In their desperation, they made the heart-wrenching decision to abandon their child and take their own lives, leaving instructions for their parents to sell the family home and return to rural life with the child. According to official data, in 2022 around 800 million people across the country were in debt. This figure includes 400 million people burdened with housing loans. The average debt per person exceeded 140,000 yuan, about $19,721, with the total national debt surpassing 200 trillion yuan, approximately $28.2 trillion. As previously reported, on January 8, NetEase News released a documentary highlighting the lives of migrant workers in Hefei. These workers, who are among the lowest in the social hierarchy, start their day at 4 a.m., waiting for job opportunities, a sight that is deeply distressing. The video was rapidly censored, indicating the sensitivity of its content. This situation mirrors the broader impacts of the real estate and debt crises on the already faltering Chinese economy. Not only are ordinary citizens facing immense hardships, but the government itself is also financially strained. In response, the CCP started to increase Social Security contributions. The Tax Bureau of Jiaxing City in Zhejiang Province recently announced that Social Security rates will be hiked from January 2024. Additionally, they mandated that the difference in Social Security payments for the entire year of 2023 must be retroactively paid based on the new, higher rates. A financial commentator, known for their analytical insights on a self-media platform, has observed that since the opening of the Chinese stock market on the 8th of this year, there has been a consistent downturn. The Shanghai Composite Index dropped more than 1%, failing to hold above the 2,900-point threshold. With nearly 4,900 stocks declining, the commentator views this as tantamount to a stock market crash. Stock markets are often considered economic indicators, and such a drastic drop is seen as a sign of capital flight from China. Additionally, the downturn in manufacturing suggests a withdrawal of industrial capital. These developments collectively underscore a significant capital exodus from China. This commentator predicts a continuing decline in both the Chinese stock market and the currency exchange rate. Chinese society, as they describe it, is currently in a state of collective hardship. They advise Chinese citizens to physically withdraw cash and relocate their assets overseas in response to the collapse of assets. This involves not keeping Chinese yuan in domestic banks and, if converted into foreign currency, keeping it abroad. A financial database has issued similar guidance. Those unable to emigrate should liquidate all assets, including medical and social insurance, and maintain minimal bank balances for daily transactions, preferably only with major banks such as the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Agricultural Bank of China, China Construction Bank, Bank of China, and Bank of Communications. This database also lists dozens of banks and financial institutions heavily invested in city investment bonds, recommending prompt withdrawal of deposits from these institutions. Lao Man, a self-media personality, who has always been pessimistic about China's economy, wrote that while a general economic downturn could be collectively endured, the addition of two factors could lead to social turmoil. The first is the highly unequal distribution of wealth, where a small minority holds the vast majority of net wealth. The second is the rigid stratification of society, with no opportunities for upward mobility. He argues that the economic downturn, compounded by these factors, will inevitably cause chaos. The severity of the chaos could range from extreme scenarios akin to the Huangchao uprising to less severe but still troubling instances of lower-class strife. In his view, some level of societal disruption is unavoidable, the only question is its intensity. The Huangchao uprising, also known as the Huangchao Rebellion, was a major peasant revolt that occurred towards the end of the Tang dynasty in China, lasting from 875 to 884 AD. It is named after its leader, Huang Chao, who was originally a salt trader but later became the leader of the rebellion. The uprising is considered one of the key factors that led to the decline and eventual fall of the Tang dynasty, one of China's greatest imperial dynasties. The rebellion was fueled by a range of socio-economic issues, including heavy taxation, widespread corruption, a significant gap between the rich and the poor, and natural disasters which had led to famine and hardship for the peasant population. She cracks down on rivals in state-owned enterprises. Analysis reveals stalemate. As previously reported, during the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection (CCDI) plenary session on January 8, Xi Jinping highlighted the need to address corruption in sectors including finance, state-owned enterprises, SOEs, energy, medicine, and infrastructure construction. Analysts indicate that these sectors, heavily occupied by central and local SOEs, are key battlegrounds where Xi is focusing his efforts to root out party factions that oppose his leadership, leading to a current deadlock. Wang He, an expert on Chinese affairs, noted that these sectors are largely controlled by central and local SOEs, representing a significant power block that Xi has not entirely subdued during his 10 years in power. The financial sector, historically influenced by the CCP's elite or princelings, has been a major target of Xi's anti-corruption efforts for years, with the campaign intensifying recently. Over the past year, more than 100 financial executives, including 40 from the 5 largest state-owned banks, have been removed. This is seen as Xi's attempt to address financial deficits and compete with elite families for control of financial resources. The SOE and energy sectors are notorious for widespread corruption, with continuous purges by the authorities. Facing challenges in foreign trade and the real estate market, the CCP has increased investment in new infrastructure projects as an economic stimulus measure. These projects, however, have opened new avenues for corruption among local officials and regulatory agencies. Furthermore, following an extensive anti-corruption drive in the medical sector last July, which resulted in the downfall of at least 200 hospital party committee secretaries and deans, the CCP initiated a new phase of medical anti-corruption efforts at the end of the year. At the CCDI session, she demanded a stringent crackdown on profit-seeking activities that leverage power and a prevention of various interest groups from infiltrating the political domain. Wang He pointed out that she has utilized his anti-corruption campaign to suppress opposition within the party since assuming power. The CCP's visible political factions were effectively dismantled at the 20th Party Congress, ensuring the Central Politburo's complete loyalty to Xi. Despite this, Xi's political adversaries are believed to be hidden within the intersections of economic and political power. Wang explained that these entrenched power groups, primarily within central and local SOEs, are being systematically purged and replaced with Xi loyalists. He also remarked that officials in these SOEs are adopting a passive approach under political pressure. They tend to escalate minor issues and redirect conflicts upwards as a form of silent protest against Xi. By employing anti-corruption as a tool, Xi is shifting the burden of responsibility downwards, creating a stalemate. Wang observed that poor economic reports lead to annual waves of replacements, but subordinates often produce misleading but favorable reports, leading to a crackdown on statistical falsification last year. However, the CCP's approach to combating data falsification, characterized by its campaign-style enforcement, has been heavily criticized. Professor Xia Tian from the University of South Carolina's Aiken Business School conveyed to the Epoch Times that the CCP's economic data has historically been manipulated. He argued that tackling this issue through a political campaign is counterproductive, as the CCP itself is the source of these fabrications. Xia Tian believes that a sustained crackdown on counterfeiting is unlikely, as a thorough inquiry would implicate CCP officials across the board, rendering the campaign nothing more than a farce.
Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.